this episode of Mississippi Roads, the city of Poplarville in southern Mississippi hosts their annual Blueberry Jubilee. The chef in Hattiesburg always sets an extra table for guests in need. We take a look in the rearview mirror at a draft horse school in Poplarville and a look at the act of farming blueberries themselves.
Support for the arts segment of Mississippi Roads comes from the Mississippi Arts Commission, whose mission is to be a catalyst for the arts and creativity in Mississippi. Information available at www.arts.ms.gov.
Mississippi Roads is made possible in part by the generous support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Down Mississippi Road. Mississippi Road.
Hi, welcome back to Mississippi Roads. I'm your host, Walt Grayson. You know, every year there's a tiny little window of time when a small fruit appears. Every June and July, farmers all across the South head out to the fields to collect blueberries. Now, that season could start as early as May and last till August, depending on where you live. But for us, all the fun happens in June and July, which is why we're here today in Poplarville for their annual Blueberry Jubilee. The festival's been going on since 1983, and it shows no signs of slowing down. Every year, the city temporarily renames the street normally known as Julia Street to Blueberry Avenue. And it's all to host a festival that draws thousands of visitors every year just to sample the wares and see what the festival has to offer. And while there's a lot of arts and crafts and food at this festival, especially food, there's some people in the world who aren't that fortunate. Coming up with a meal for them is a real challenge. But there's a man in Hattiesburg who's made it his mission to change all that. As early as 11 in the morning on any day of the week, you'll find dozens of lunchtime patrons eager to taste some of the South's most delicious dishes at Crescent City Grill in Hattiesburg. The New Orleans-style eatery is owned and operated by Robert St. John. A veteran in the restaurant industry, Robert was used to getting the occasional letter and phone call asking him for a donation to a worthy cause, and he's always done his part to answer those calls. But one day, he received a call that was more than just someone asking for a donation. It was a call that would change his whole life's mission.
So there was a place here in town called Edward Street Fellowship Center. It's a mission pantry. I got a call from them. They were at the time feeding about 800 families a month, and they had completely run out of food. I mean, there was no food, and they had clients coming in that Friday. They called and said, "Is there anything you can do to help us?" And I said, "Sure." I figured the quickest, best, easiest way to help them would be just call my Sysco reps.
Sysco is the nation's largest food distribution company. Robert's been buying from them for years, so a few days later, Sysco delivered the order, and the center was able to feed the families who were depending on their help. After that, Robert wondered if there were other food pantries and soup kitchens throughout the state that were facing the same dilemma.
To be honest with you, I really was a little skeptical. You know, even though we had already helped this agency and we're kind of getting into this, I was skeptical that there was even a problem, because I knew Mississippi's #1 in obesity. And I had a hard time reconciling the fact that how can we be #1 in obesity and #1 in food insecurity? It made no sense to me. And what I learned, it was just like a cold slap in the face, that those two always go together.
Robert faced a decision. He knew he couldn't sit back and allow his neighbors to go hungry, so he made a commitment to the state of Mississippi itself to end hunger.
And so I started looking into this, and I went to Sysco and I said, "I've got an idea. You know, what if we, let me compile an order or two," and actually I did 3, and put them into groups to where it's very easy for people to order, kind of a food bundle. And they said, "We're in," instantly. There was no talking them into it at all.
And that was the moment in 1999 that Extra Table was born. Extra Table provides food pantries and soup kitchens across the state with the healthy food they need to feed the hungry. So not only is Extra Table tackling hunger, it's simultaneously driving down obesity by getting healthy, nutritious foods into the hands of those who need it most. So 3 years after he founded Extra Table, Robert decided to increase its capacity. He brought on Raven Tynes as executive director by asking her one simple question.
We sat down and he said, Raven, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I said, well, I want to be working for a charity to end hunger and alleviate poverty. And he said, well, I've got a job offer for you. And that's when he told me about Extra Table and about the position that he wanted me to take here. And it was absolutely my dream job, a dream come true.
Together, Robert and Raven believe they've created a simple system to solve one of the most horrible problems in the U.S.
We receive a donation and we use absolutely 100% of any donation to purchase food, and that's something that helps us stand apart. We're committed to that. So if you give us $10 to purchase food in Hattiesburg, Mississippi for the hungry, we order $10 worth of food from Sysco and have it delivered to a food pantry or soup kitchen who has already got hungry people coming to their doors.
Robert and Raven knew that hunger was more than a problem in Hattiesburg, so Robert took his mission on the road to see if he could get more buy-in from folks across the state. He landed nearly 100 miles north of Hattiesburg, the capital city of Jackson, and invited a friend of his to come hear him speak about Extra Table. And that friend was Jeff Good. Anyone who's ever eaten at Bravo or Sal and Mookie's or Broad Street knows his culinary prowess.
As Robert was trying to expand this over the state, Jeff was one of the first people that he called. In the middle of Robert's presentation, Jeff just had this $1 million idea, because that's how Jeff Good's brain works. And he decided that we needed to get Extra Table involved in our 3 restaurants. At each restaurant, when you walk in, you'll see an Extra Table at each of our 3 restaurants. It will have information, actually has a plate set up, and it has everything that you need to know about what Extra Table is. But when you come in and dine at our 3 restaurants, there is an extra line for Extra Table on each receipt.
Every cent from that extra line for Extra Table benefits the agencies located in the same city as the restaurants. Gateway Rescue Mission is one of those agencies. Gateway serves about 300 people a day, about 10,000 people each month, and has been the harbor for folks in need or down on their luck for decades. Matt Sieg says he never thought he would wind up at Gateway, but is thankful that he did. Matt says he's a former alcoholic who lost everything to the disease. Then he found himself at the rescue mission to try to get himself out of the dark pathways he was facing. Now Matt says he's cleaned himself up and is looking forward to getting married. Just as Gateway has been a blessing to him, he says people like Robert and Raven with Extra Table have been a blessing to Gateway before he even knew what was happening.
For about a year, we had a truck pull up in the middle of the street, a semi, and we'd get like 2 dollies full of number 10 cans. And we didn't question it, you know, thank you, Jesus. And it's probably only been the last 2 or 3 months that we found out that it was from Extra Table. We didn't even know.
And the Extra Table orders from Sysco have made a huge impact when he has hungry people waiting to fill the seats and eat their daily meals.
Because we do live on pretty much donations, you never know what you have to use. By getting that donation every month, I know what I have, and it's all good.
With hundreds of thousands of seniors, children, and single moms, and regular Joes living in a state of food insecurity because they have to choose between paying a bill or buying dinner, the folks at Extra Table are using their partnership, skills, and love of humanity to continue to raise awareness about the hunger problem. But it's not easy.
We aren't just recognizing the problem, we aren't just laying that on thick. We're recognizing a good, feasible solution, and it's time for us to take care of our neighbors. If a child goes hungry, that's the community's fault, and we can absolutely fix that. $1 at a time, 1 can of green beans at a time. We'll fix it.
You know, the blueberry is an amazing fruit. It packs a big wallop of vitamins and antioxidants, especially for its small size, so no wonder it's celebrated all over the world, although they're native to North America. And the really amazing thing about coming to the Blueberry Jubilee here in Poplarville is to find out just how many different ways you can use blueberries in recipes. We'll take a look at some of that a little later. Short walk down Blueberry Avenue opens up entire worlds to explore. In addition to the hundreds of arts and crafts vendors, there's a lot going on. If you walk down to the Methodist Church, you can stop in and take a break while listening to the oldest storytelling festival in the United States. Tales can last anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the speaker and the audience. And of course, it wouldn't be a proper Blueberry Jubilee without a blueberry recipe contest. While we're here at the Blueberry Jubilee in Poplarville, doing things like taking sips of blueberry lemonade, we're going to take a look through the rearview mirror. This is a story we did a while back about a farm that used to operate in this area. And people came here from all over the world to Russell's Farms to learn about a special breed of horses. I love this.
I grew up on a dairy farm. My dad operated with mules and horses until in '79 I bought this farm. We raised cattle, Belgian draft horses. We have some Percheron draft horses. We raise most of the feed for our livestock. We do all of our haying with the horses. We plant corn, oats, and plant it and harvest it with the horses. I had a good friend, Jimmy Klein, that lived in Laronja, Louisiana. He farmed with horses and ran a dairy farm at that time. Somehow Jimmy got hooked up with Dick Sparrow, who drives the Coors hitch of Belgians. So he started doing a school with Jimmy, and then me and Jimmy got the idea of doing it, and I came up with the idea that it should be a farming school. Nobody was doing a farming school, and it just, we did the first one in '93. We did about 6 schools for 2 years. Each year we did as many as 6 schools in a year, but now we have cut it to 3 schools a year. And as far as I know, we're the only one in the South that's doing a school like this.
Our clinic is a 4-day clinic. It's all hands-on. You get all your meals with that. You get your housing with that also. Within that 4 days, of course, we can't teach you everything you need to know in 4 days, but you get the basics of harnessing, hitching, and driving. And we always have 3 or 4 different things going on, and there's always an instructor with every different thing.
I was reading the Draft Horse Journal about 2 months ago, and I told my wife, hey, I'd like to go to that. And she looked at that and she says, boy, I would go to something like that, you know, see the country, and so we come.
This is a foot lift plow.
There's a lot of question-answer type situations too, where people ask a lot of questions, and we like that when people ask a lot of questions because we feel like they're learning when they ask questions, and we can give them an answer to it, possibly to help them when they get home.
It can be dangerous, it can be complicated and all, but you know, when you're under this controlled setting with good instructors and safe animals, then you can think about, well, how do I hitch this? How far back do I need to be? All the little details of it that when you get back home, you know, you have this living experience to call on.
Kenny's was the only school that you could go to, get on a plow, a mowing machine, a hay loader, any kind of farm implement, and actually drive it, see how it worked, see how the horses handled it and stuff like that. So it was and still is a very unique school in that aspect. That horse is the worst he'll ever be the first day you're working. The tractor is the best it'll ever be the first day. A tractor wears out and depreciates. A horse, when he's a colt, unbroke, untrained, he's got a value, but it's not as much. The more you use him, the more his value goes up. So rather than depreciate, he appreciates, and he continues to improve in his ability to do the work you want him to. Mm-hmm.
Come on. Get up, gal. Get up, back.
We have some folks that do really want to learn to farm, and they actually want to kind of maybe get back to the land or something.
So there's just about a million little details, and I guess that's part of it, is that I just wanted to see what it takes to get from a horse in the barn to hitched up and going.
The draft horse has the name of being a real gentle giant. He's a real docile type horse. It's what we like for farming. The first thing you'll notice is the size. And of course, the draft horse will weigh anywhere from 1,600 to a ton, some even larger. I think the world's record was set over 3,000 pounds and stood 20 hands or something. He was a huge horse. We like to keep the classes around 10 students or less. It's really better, but we have done a school with as many as 29 in it. But I don't think I'll ever do it again. Oh, we try to build a lot of confidence during this school. Get them over that little fear of handling these horses and being able to go out and purchase a team and start hooking it and really having a success with it.
That dirt goes to singing along, and you're out there and you're doing what God gives you to do with, and you're close to the earth, and it brings a contentment.
You can have the worst day in the world out on your job, and when you go home or pull up into the farm there and those horses are there and you go to start feeding them and taking care of them, all that goes away. It's the best feeling that you'll ever get.
Well, we're here in Poplarville for the Blueberry Jubilee, but blueberries aren't the only thing that makes Poplarville special. While you're here in town, do like I'm about to do, hop on the wagon and head out to the Small Fruit Experiment Station, which, by the way, our Small Fruit Experiment Station turns out to be the biggest one in the nation. The Thad Cochran Southern Horticultural Laboratory main building houses a project known as the Small Fruit and Ornamental Genetic Research for the Mid-South, which is a long way of saying that a lot of research here goes into keeping plants healthy in different climates and against different challenges. And it's definitely worth taking the time to take a tour when you come out to the Jubilee and see all the wonderful things they've got going on out here. Here at the Poplarville Blueberry Jubilee, when you've had your fill of blueberry-related items and storytellers and arts and craft vendors and whatnot, then there's a classic automobile show you've got to come see. And while the car show is certainly fascinating, if you're looking for more speed, then head over to the highly anticipated Baby Crawl behind Pearl River Drugs. You know, when Mark Twain wrote about the jumping frogs of Calaveras County, he had one particular type four-legged creature in mind for his races. But at the Baby Crawl, the forelegs are only temporary, and the kids will slowly learn to walk. Matter of fact, keeping some of them on all fours during the crawl is half the challenge. And none of them have been loaded down with pellets, unlike the poor frog in Mr. Twain's story. Besides, I'm pretty sure it's against the rules here. But regardless of the circumstances, hopeful parents line their little ones up in hopes of winning the contest and maybe even setting a new record in the process. Now, while we're making our way around the Blueberry Jubilee in Poplarville, enjoying the fresh blueberries, I think it might be appropriate that we pause for a minute and discover the way that blueberries are cultivated and harvested.
Most consumers don't have any idea what is involved from the time that Farmer John makes a decision that he prepares the soil and he puts the plants, and you know it will take 5 to 6 years before he can even pay his investment, and the issues of labor and regulations and wages and you know all these obstacles. Consumers don't have no idea. Consumers should go to the grocery store and they buy the blueberries, they enjoy them, and they put them in the ice cream or the cereals in the morning. But all the absolutely nightmares that takes place before then, they don't have no idea of this.
We are at the Thad Cochran Southern Horticultural Laboratory in Poplarville, Mississippi. It is a satellite laboratory for the USDA Agricultural Research Service. After Hurricane Camille, the tung oil industry was completely destroyed along the Gulf Coast, and they were looking for alternative crops that would grow on the types of soils we have here. Production was just beginning to take off in areas like North Carolina and Georgia, and it looked like a promising crop for our area, so I began to devote some effort and time into seeing how different varieties would perform here. Ever since the inception of our work here, we work closely with growers, testing our materials on their farms.
And my role is to work with them with any issues they have, to educate them on new research that's coming out, and that's what I kind of do here, and why my position is placed here, is to work with the researchers here and transfer the knowledge that they're creating to the growers in the field. Usually what happens is the grower will call me and say, I want you to come and look at this. And I'll go out to his place, talk with him, listen to what he says about the problem or the issue that he's having, and then we go and look at the plants in the field. So I've been to Mike Pepper's place a few times, especially when he had a problem with frost injury.
It's their goal to help the farmer. That's their mission. I had some problems when the cold weather came in and it freezes the flowers. Then it's real susceptible to some fungus or botrytis and so forth, and I saw some instances of that and took pictures of it and went back and verified it. I would have never thought when we started this so many years ago that you'd be taking tissue samples, taking leaves off and getting them, okay, what does this leaf need? I think the honeybees, I think they say they're better at the pollinating and so forth, but you do want them both, and I have them both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this one. Every variety has different good things and bad things. If the harvest season, if we get into the harvest season and it just happens to rain a lot, these blueberries will hold together and they won't split open. We're looking at a Premier, Rabbit Eye Premier. This is a Lapahol. This is the hot new variety that the people are so pleased with. It's just unreal fruit load. This is an early, late blooming, but early producing fruit, which is going to be great for our industry in the state, because you're coming in a little later with the flowers, but then again, it produces blueberries very early. Price determines whether I'm in what market situation I'm in. And we're in a process market. We're at the end of the season. Rain hurt, no doubt. That's what ran us out of the fresh market. And it's about a 3-week window that we have to go fresh. I hit it for a week and a half till rain set in. You will see these more likely in a food mix that you'll buy, whether it's blueberry pancakes, muffins. These go to a processor that makes frozen berries available in the grocery store.
Well, Miss Lou is the name of the cooperative, and this is also the receiving and shipping station for the cooperative. But it's interesting, that is Mike Pepper's fruit. The early history, we had a paper mache cup that we cover with cellophane and hold the cellophane with a rubber band. That's long gone, long gone. Now there are plastic clamshells that is all done at high speed with specialized equipment, and now you have color sorters and you have soft sorters, a tremendous amount of technology to be able to pack blueberries today. Normally, we are in production sometime around the 22nd to the 23rd of May. As the season moves on, that you get a bigger and bigger volume in the marketplace, and the price begins to to fall, okay? And this is why we changed from the fresh market to the processed market to deal with these changes, this variation of price. If you buy a frozen blueberries and you keep it in your freezer at home, in the morning you wash them to thaw them out, and then you put them in your cereal, it tastes just as good as it, well, not quite as good if it was fresh, but it's pretty good. The best part about the business is the last day that we're open and when we shut down.
Regrettably, that's all the time we have for this week's show. But if you'd like information about anything you've seen in the program, contact us at mpbonline.org/Mississippi Roads or join our Facebook page. So from Poplarville at the Blueberry Jubilee, I'm Walt Grayson. I'll be seeing you on Mississippi Roads.
Mississippi Roads is made possible in part by the generous support of viewers like you. Thank you.